It is. We are live. For the millions of space fans across the multiverse. Spacetime Live with your host, Face of Space, Reed Mackay.
Thank you, Scott. Always a pleasure to be here. Always a pleasure.
Space time, spreading love.
Spreading love
Sunday
across
morning.
the multiverse,
That's
talking
right.
to billions and quadrillions, literally quadrillions of sentient beings in so many different galaxies on different planes of existence here. It's really quite a pleasure to be able to communicate such.
Bills keep flying in.
Overloading the servers, really.
I know.
It's been huge response from the sentient beings across the multiverse, and more Space-Time Live and expanded discussions have been demanded, really demanded.
That's right. The people have spoken. We've listened, and things are going to get better around here.
Yeah.
We are big news. Starting soon. Working on a new studio.
Yes.
A brand new studio.
Yeah.
To broadcast from Spacetime Live Studios. That we're working on it yesterday. Reed's been working on it for a while. Big things coming. Be ready for that. It's going to be awesome.
Huge.
Wait till you guys see this studio.
Yeah. There's going to be hardware upgrades coming as well with the studio renovation, and it should make for a much more interactive and dynamics, visual appearance and feel to the entire nuances of Space-Time Live.
That's right. We've got some good video of the studio being assembled, I guess you could say.
That's right.
Among other things.
Yeah, and battle scars too. I mean, these types of projects don't come without their prices. So this will all be telecommunicated on Spacetime Live at YouTube.
Okay, Mr. Mackay. First thing I wanted to talk about this week on Spacetime Live is I wanted to talk a little bit about how this all got started and just kind of go into that a little bit and kind of tell people why we're doing this, why we're here, what we want to do. And for me, it was something that just kind of came to be one day. You were over here, we were having a conversation. And somehow the Voyager came up. Was that what it was? The Voyager?
Voyager spacecraft?
Yeah, and it was, we weren't even talking about space. We were just, shooting the shit. And the Voyager spacecraft came up somehow. It was about to enter deep space or something like that.
Yeah, it's at the edge of the solar system, the solar ball.
Or something like that. And you had, it was just a normal conversation, but then when the Voyager issue came up, or the conversation switched to the Voyager, you started talking about it in a way that was so passionate, I guess is the right word, and you were so excited about the Voyager, and you started going into like these, you're using your hands to talk, and you're going crazy about it, and you're so excited.
Canadian in me.
Yeah, and it was like, I had heard about the Voyager, I knew a little bit about it, but I was not that interested in it. But after that conversation, just hearing you talk about it so passionately and having so much excitement, I went and looked up more about it. I started watching YouTube videos about it and watching some NASA videos.
It is cool.
Yeah, but what got to me was the passion. Like, it was, the passion rubbed off because you were so interested in it that I started to think, maybe I'm missing something. Maybe there's more to this than I'd previously seen. I need to look into this further. And that passion on any topic is what kind of interests me. So at that point, and that you've always been a space kind of talking about space with all sci-fi and things like that, and always promote talking that we have to go to space, and you want to go to space.
I do.
And when you get into those topics, that's when I think in a sense the real you comes out, and you start just going. The energy level just picks up, and you start going crazy about
space.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
so that's
It is. It is a passion of mine, and I've got to start for one for noticing that and getting this reciprocal idea going, and yeah, I mean, talking about that, where it started and where we want to go. I think it's important because, I mean, this is the fourth episode now, and we've been talking about different ideas. We've had a lot of fun. We've gone expansive with thought, space elevators and living and moving material, 3D stuff like this. But where do we want to go with this now? I mean, space for one, yeah. And well, I actually did sign up Axe Apollo mission. I'm gonna be going going there and promoting that as well. Nice. I really want to go to space. Yeah. But it's kind of weird because it's been a massive drive in my thinking. Going into space and opening it up to everybody. I think it's the next step in our evolution as a species, in the ability to collectively take responsibility for everything, because it requires that. I mean, going into space requires complete acceptance of all aspects of moving your environment out there, providing life support, being sustainable, not being... Space debris can kill somebody if it hits your habitat years down the road. I mean, there's so much planning, and I've always equated it to, 40-year-old that never moves out of their parents' basement. If we don't step off this earth and get out of this one world thinking, but really start to view it as all connected and just universe and maybe multiverse, then we're never gonna have, and that all this technology that we now have access to can help deliver. Yeah, I guess that's kind of where it started, and cool. It's important to look at that because now we got to talk about where we want this to go.
Yeah, we can get into that a little later. I want to ask you more about how you got interested, like what made you so passionate, or what makes you, I guess you touched on that a little, even at a young age. What was the driving force that made you so passionate about space? Like when you think about it, even it seems like you're really pumped about it, that I don't see it with other things.
I think it's the challenge.
Yeah.
I think it's the ultimate challenge. It's the ultimate technological challenge. It's the ultimate psychological challenge to explore. Ultimate perceptual challenge to first see and remotely map things, to just bring all of these different modes of thinking together. I think it's a focal point of unifying thought way, as in it forces an individual on their own fast, but also you must collaborate and work collectively with people and with wild and stretched ideas, connected disciplines of thought that would overlap in seemingly obvious ways.
Yeah,
I think it's just
someone could say that for any real project that like humanity undertakes. What is it about space to you that's so exciting or out there?
Part of it, like, I guess the unknown too.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
The adventure, because there's like, would you be the guy who was, let's say, 500 years ago? Would you be the guy who would want to go on a ship? Or are you an explorer by nature? Or,
quite possibly. Yeah, I've always had that bit in me, right? Buy a ticket someplace, go, no plans, no hotels booked.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So maybe that aspect really appeals to a certain side of character, but as far as space, I just see it as unknown, and it's at the same time potential to go there.
Yeah.
It would just, I don't know, sci-fi too. I like thinking about all these things that will be possible with just, you know, a little more work, a little more understanding, a little more stuff. So I think it's that kind of carrot in front of you makes it seem that much more real, just because it seems that much more technology develops, the closer it seems too. Even though, I mean, realistically, we're 30 years away from having a viable, larger groups of people. It still seems really close because of the pace of everything changing.
Yeah, well, that is close. 30 years to over a lifespan seems like a long time, but in the history of the world, it's a tiny fraction of it.
Basically nothing.
Yeah, it's 30 years. I mean, we'll see that. It's cool. It's a good time to be alive.
It is. And it's just, I mean, it's a natural thing to get up there too. If we run out of space here, why not go up there? Almost why not? Like, why not? It would be such a waste if we didn't choose to go.
Yeah, I think there's always going to be a segment of people who are going to just explore to explore. That's something in our DNA, it seems, that we want to push boundaries.
And people who won't want to as well.
That's right. That's what I wanted to ask you is, what do you think the difference is? What is there? Do you just think it's a difference in philosophy or a difference in the way people are built, that some people would just have no interest in anything space long term? Is that do you think maybe just a philosophy thing? Maybe it's a bit of ignorance, and not in a bad way, but ignorance in the fact that they just maybe don't understand the importance.
Yeah. Philosophies will affect people to a certain degree. Predispositions and personality, be they. I'm not sure if you could pin down causal factor for it, but a lot, you know, like I think fear of the unknown would be the biggest. Fear of the unknown drives people in general, because space is so unknown and it requires such a risk and investment in both money and time, and risk of, you want to move people off there, risk of death.
Yeah.
You know, those are all factors that play into it, and you know, if people aren't necessarily accustomed to or comfortable with that kind of certainty or that level of uncertainty in how they choose to interact with the world, then space isn't going to appeal to them. You know, although the technologies might appeal to them. They could think that everything's really cool. GPS is pretty awesome, and people like that, and that's a pretty obvious and widespread benefit of space. But some people who utilize the technology the most might be individuals. Surface conversations say that they don't see the benefit of investing all these billions of dollars. There's a lot of different intricate connections there that, you know, it's going to constantly be a debate, right? As long as there's social problems here on Earth, it's going to constantly be questioned whether or not it's viable to go into space. It's viable to go into space until space starts paying back as a fully functioning market economy and a.
Uh-oh.
There we go. But yeah, I mean, until a fully functioning space economy can start to pay back investment here on Earth, there's always going to be people who will compare whether or not it's worthwhile to spend the money on exploring and developing these technologies and the infrastructure versus taking care of the immediate problems we have here day to day.
Some of that's changing. Like we've talked about in the past, is historically it's been the only organizations able to take on these big projects. People can communicate more. There's more access to crowdsourced projects on their own, and that kind of alleviates that dichotomy where it's either help people or explore space or go into these private individuals are putting their own money into that, then you don't have that argument. If you still believe the government's role is to take care of its citizens, feed and
alleviates
stuff like that.
That pressure of investment on the government.
From government, exactly.
Yeah, and so they're like it almost completely nullifies that argument of spending by allowing the private industry. Now it's required the rise of essential. Seriously, individuals and the companies that they run allow that with our level of space technology, right? With the rockets and the cost of getting these tools and stuff, it's extremely expensive. So it's required certain market realities in order to begin realizing that kind of explosion in privatization of space. But yeah, I mean, it will really remain to be seen how long it takes. It's a certainty, right?
Yeah.
I note that I like that term, crowdsourcing things, because that's really what it's about. It's leveraging people over large players, single players, be they government or private, and that sort of concept is really going to start revolutionizing marketplaces all over the world even faster.
That's right. And it's going to revolutionize government spending because now people have a say in where their money goes to.
Yeah.
So in theory, if you extrapolate that out, we're going to eventually have a say in where our tax dollars get spent. So you'll be able to. It's not like, I mean, the days of just voting for a representative to represent us at. Those days are pretty much. They're disappearing because everyone has a say now. We can communicate. We don't need to find a representative for us to go speak for us. Everyone can talk. So, yeah, I think it's either going to be through crowdsourcing or through people specifically saying what they want their tax dollars spent on. Bottom line is the world's shifting where the individuals, the actual, I guess you could call them the ants of the anthill, have a say in the direction things go. That's never been there before, and that's going to change things in a massive way. It's going to be so. I mean, that's it. So the crowdsourcing is exciting. That's only. I mean, it's less than. It's maybe 5-10 years old. This new this idea of crowdsourcing.
Yeah, it is. I was hearing about that in an article about thorium reactor.
Oh God,
too.
Thorium. All right,
exactly.
Let's get into thorium.
let's just get into this and get over it because what I see is basically what NASA would initially like thorium reactors on the moon. Right, it's a plentiful fuel source on the moon, and if we can refine a pretty standard kind of robust design of a reactor and put it into application, it could be viable to have a reactor up on the moon powering a small settlement by 2030.
All right, let's step back a second.
All right, we're
Thorium
gonna go
in
back.
general. So Reed has been all over me about thorium reactors. You got to look this up, and I initially was like, this is just, or some other idea that somebody had,
rhetoric,
some science fiction bullshit. Maybe we'll have reactors on the moon, blah, blah, blah. So I did actually look it up because he said I have to. He forced me to. And it looks real. Like, this is a legit thing. What thorium is it's just a naturally occurring element. Discovered in 1828. It's very abundant on Earth and in the cosmos, as Reed tells me.
Yeah,
and I believe
lots of sources on the moon have been identified, and there are plenty of sources on Earth as well. It's quite abundant, and especially for the energy ratios that you get out of it for the amount of fuel used. It's incredibly efficient in going through the entire process of its life from. And the disposal time of the radioactive byproducts is minute compared to uranium. It's 300 years for the most reactive of them.